Welcome back to the Terminal Exchange, the official podcast of Nussbaum Transportation, where we explore key issues and compelling stories in the trucking industry. I'm your host, Dayton Rumbold, and you're listening to episode 126, The Nuts and Bolts. When you think of great service, what comes to mind? Chick-fil-A, the Ritz-Carlton. What makes good service besides saying, my pleasure? Today, Jon Hohulin and Adam Kilpatrick sit down with me to talk about how integrity saves the day at the shop. Join us for another installment of Top Issues in Trucking. And now, your featured exchange. Welcome back to the Terminal Exchange. We are live on the Terminal Exchange. Just kidding, we're not live today. We're in the studio with Jon. Howdy. And we have Adam with us also. So thank you for joining us. Excited to be here today. We're talking about maintenance and the shop and pain points in the industry. And so we talked about recruiting. We've done episodes about sales and rates and how does a company not go bankrupt. And today we're talking about the maintenance and shop. And so we have some fun conversation starters here. I've read through some one-star reviews, not for our company, but just as a whole, the industry, to get an idea, what are those friction points that we experience and how can we provide a good interaction with those people that we work with day to day. And so this will be the conversation. It's not necessarily fun to talk about the stuff that goes bad, but that's what your job is every day, is helping people out when stuff goes bad, right? I mean, that's what the shop is in essence.
Yeah, I would think you hit it on the head there. They're here for service. They're here for my truck's doing this when I do that. So please help me get it along, and we can write up a story for the text, and they can get it in and hopefully get it looked at.
Yeah, that's the essence of service, right? The idea that you're serving somebody. So people come to us with a problem, with annoyance, with something that's bothering them, and come up with a solution if we can.
Yeah, definitely. Service is a tough industry.
Toughest, I'd say.
Yeah, the toughest. And you know when you get good service, you know when you get bad service. You walk in somewhere and it's
Absolutely.
like, I did not enjoy my experience there. And you know somewhere you go, it's like, oh, I felt like a king. Like, I was the best. Yeah. So I feel like we get a good idea of that. So thank you again for being here, Jon, Adam. Appreciate you both. If we could just start getting to know each other a little bit better, I have a question for you, Jon. Nerf or nothing?
So I know this one came from Thad. But I mean, it's a very, very interesting philosophical question. I mean, it's kind of a bold claim for Nerf, like the dart gun company to say it's Nerf or nothing. I mean, back up. That's a pretty big claim to make. Yeah. Right. So I mean, like, let's think about that. Let's how can we critically analyze that? I mean, that's a pretty heavy claim to leverage against everyone else. I mean, it's Nerf or nothing. Whoa, like I don't know about you guys, but that really sets off alarm bells in my head.
Yeah. So
as a Christian, I can't really I don't really agree with that.
Yeah. So what is your stance on Nerf or nothing?
Oh, it's false. I mean, it's Nerf or nothing. And so I mean, like this table, this microphone, Adam's hat.
Oh,
it's nothing. I mean, they're nothing right now, but
yeah. Are you talking about the Niners?
Yeah, the Niners.
Oh,
I'm clueless. I don't know what he's talking about. He's going on about something.
I see he is passionate about something. We're not sure what, but
yeah, Nerf or nothing. I don't know what it is.
Just kind of like, whoa, hey, pump the brakes a little bit, right?
Yeah, don't get ahead of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned his hat. Are you guys big sports fans? Niner fans? I heard I don't know. How are they doing this year?
We're not doing so well this year, but we're still. I think we're playoff ready. Mm-hmm. And that's a lie. We are broken down and hurt, and We don't have our starters, so it's going to be rough for us of the season. But we are both Cardinals fans, and that wasn't a great baseball season for us either. But,
not great, not terrible. I'd say.
Yeah, I think we will rebound in 2026.
Okay.
So
not 25.
I think we're going to build next year, and then we're going to have some new management, and I think 2026 could be a better year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's our year.
Upward trend.
Yeah.
Best
trend.
Cardinals player, go.
Albert Pujols. Or Stan Musial.
Of our time, I'd say Ozzie Smith. I wasn't able to watch Stan
Of our
Musial.
time?
Yeah.
That was before me.
Was it really? Gosh. All right. Well, my time, Ozzie Smith. It's really why I became a fan. So, and I would assume Pujols is why you
Pujols
became
is
a
why
fan. Yeah.
I mean, my dad was always a Cardinals fan, but yeah, Pujols definitely what got me into it.
Yeah, the OG.
And Molina.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like my second term with the team. You know, I watched them before all that, and then that was a new baseball team once they came in. Because before that, you had McGuire and you had Sosa doing the home run, whatever they called that, home run contest, or what was that called? Home run. When they raced to 62, I think, because they had to beat Roger Maris.
Yeah.
And then after that, then Pujols came on the scene, and it was kind of a bigger deal.
So sports and outside of work, is there anything else you like to do? Hobbies, fixing lawnmowers?
Yeah.
Buying lawnmowers?
I like to buy and fix mowers. I don't know what it is about zero turns. It's just like my zen place. I was actually trying to sell one of my zero turns a while back. The person that was buying it came and looked at it and said, "Hey, this is great. Looks awesome. All right, perfect." And we worked out a deal. We even shook hands on it. But a little later, he said, like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to back out." I talked with my wife, which I don't know why you talk with your wife after you shook hands. But I mean, it was just it kind of left me with a bad taste in my mouth,
It kind of sounds like the guy had a lawnmower already, and he wasn't sure if he wanted to take on the investment of 2 lawnmowers.
An oddly specific amount of information on this, Adam.
Yeah.
You want to share something with the class?
No, I love that that's being brought up. No, John, I apologize wholeheartedly. I did not mean to hurt our friendship over that lawnmower. I really did feel bad about it.
I mean,
I feel like there's reconciliation happening here.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
There was a lot going on at that time. We just bought a house, and I was going to buy 2 lawnmowers, and my wife was already, "Why do you need 2 lawnmowers?" And my plan was I was going to flip one. And
You guys
then
really want to hear a list of excuses from
I got
Adam?
there, I'm
This is
like,
what this podcast you want from.
the funny thing is, I was just going to come pick the thing up and take it home. I was going to go to Goodfield, get his trailer, pick it up, take it home. He's like, "No, why don't you come here and make sure you really like it?" I'm like,
Victim blaming. Victim blaming.
Who's the victim, me or you? I'm on the spotlight here on a podcast at work. Yeah.
It's funny because I had to give a little bit of credit to Adam. No, I don't.
Oh, I don't need any.
No, Adam, I did ask him to do this morning because I couldn't find something else. So
No, I really appreciate
credit
it.
where credit's due, but we're gonna make you sweat a little bit.
And then somehow you guys put me on the spot. That's okay. Outside of work, I like to work on stuff as well. I'm not good at it, but I still like to do it.
Yeah.
4-wheelers is a big deal right now. I bought my first 4-wheeler in like April, and then we moved, and I bought a second 4-wheeler before we moved, and just like to tinker. I'm not good at it, but I'm learning. It's like a small car with a carburetor, but my goal is to fix one up completely with the second, or with the parts off the second one, and then turn around and sell that one after I get it running, and have a little bit of extra money. But it's just a slow process. It got way colder than I thought it was going to after the holidays, and that's when I was really planning on doing it. But
I always hated working on 4-wheelers. Absolutely hated it.
I just wish I knew more about it, and there's not a lot of information on a 30-year-old four-wheeler, and especially it's an Arctic Cat, which is there's even less resources out there because Arctic Cat's more for snowmobiles.
Yeah.
So,
you ever work on a snowmobile?
I've never sat on a snowmobile.
Oh.
So yeah, I don't know much about them, but yeah, I would say they're not my passion right now, but it's just, I like to tinker around and stuff, get in the garage.
Yeah.
Now that I have a nice big garage to work on, store 0-turn lawnmowers in.
Yeah. What about you, John? Outside of work, what's it look like?
The real answer this time.
I love hanging out with my family. My daughter just turned 1, so she's super fun
awesome.
age. She's learning new words, so that's super fun. Just like being outside. Yeah.
What was her first word? Do you remember? Or were you there?
What was her first word? Man, now you got me thinking.
Yeah, usually it's like mommy or daddy.
Probably. Well, she is more like. She says like all done.
Oh, that's
done.
cute.
That's cute.
That's fun.
It's like when her plate's clear, she'd be like all done.
Oh wow, that's really cute.
Yeah.
That's.
That is adorable.
Wasn't anticipating that. I was thinking
That's a
mommy or
heart-
daddy or
heart
Goo Goo
puller.
or yeah.
Yeah, she
That's interesting.
was not napping the greatest for the longest time, and one time Abby, my wife, went and check on her, and she's just walking around in her crib. She's like, all done, all done.
No more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, kids are the funniest. So, you guys, how'd you get into maintenance? Was that just something that one day you decided you like fixing things, or was that you always had that desire?
Well, I have 20 years of restaurant experience and
What?
where I came from.
What restaurant?
Lots of them. I cooked for a long time, then I managed several restaurants, and then when I left the industry as the GM of an Applebee's, I wish I had a little bit more credit when I say that out loud, but I mean, it's still a big deal.
Yeah.
But it's Applebee's.
yeah.
It's like I don't visit Applebee's.
GM, that
anymore
Half
now.
price appetizers.
Yeah.
I was there for the $1 margarita, and that was insane.
Yeah, wow.
But so 20 years of customer service in the restaurant industry, and then I went to the bank. But I'm so glad I get to say this out loud at Nussbaum. Justin Warren is my brother-in-law.
Okay.
He doesn't like me to share that information, but I wear it on my sleeve, very proud. We always have discussions around holidays or just get-togethers, and he'd tell me how awesome this company is. I'm like, man, I really got to get in there. And we talk about growth and development and movement, and those are the things that I kind of was looking for. Yeah. So I applied for several different positions, and I happened to land in the maintenance area,
Nice.
which I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
It is a little bit more customer service, driver facing.
Yeah.
So I'm more comfortable with it. Although I would love to see how I like to say how the fudge is made. The sales department, see where our loads are going, where they're coming from, and understand that lingo and that language. But as far as maintenance goes, I know nothing. I'm just like a driver when they say I'm not the mechanic. Me neither, buddy. I'm a service advisor. So if it's not a nail in your tire, I'm probably not going to be able to help you.
Yeah.
So, and if it's leaking, I'm still not going to be able to help you, but I can at least let
Point
you know
you.
that it's leaking.
Yeah.
So, just the four-wheeler stuff came up later, so nothing. I mean, I can change oil in my car, but when we're talking semis, I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
I've learned. I mean, over the 2.5 years I've been here now, I've learned, and I can hold a conversation about it, but I still wouldn't trust myself with a wrench to do it unless Jake or Dalton or Brad or somebody's showing me how to do it. So.
No, that's cool. So I didn't realize that you had a long history in working.
Yeah, I jumped the gun there according to our agenda. Yeah, before Nussbaum, I was 20 years in the restaurant industry. Started out as line cooks. I really wanted to go to school to become a chef, so I went to the culinary arts program. That did not work out because I was silly and chased a girl out of college instead of chasing the the culinary dream. And then I just landed on my feet in restaurants after restaurant, and then got into management and really liked the management aspect of it. Guiding people, leading people, showing people, different ways to do things and success. And then 20 years later, I'd met my wife, Justin's sister, and we had a baby. And 6 months down the road, the baby was 6 months old, and I wasn't home. I was working 16-hour work days.
Wow.
I was driving 2 hours a day back and forth to work. So I said, something's got to break. So I ended up getting a job with the water department of Normal for just a 6-month temporary job that got me out of the restaurant industry. And I'm so thankful for that. I miss the restaurant industry. My wife tells me one of her favorite stories is watching me and like 15 other Applebee's employees just dive in and help serve like 120 basketball players that walked into the restaurant. We were all off on duty because we were celebrating. One of the managers was leaving. And so we were celebrating his departure, and they got a phone call. 120 people were coming in, and we just all suited up and got to work. And it was just, there's a smile on everybody's face. Not just the 120 basketball players, but all the employees. We worked together, making drinks, serving food, cooking food, talking to people. It really was. It was impressive. And it was awesome. And that's that feel good that I miss in the restaurant. So the 16-hour days, they can go away. I don't care for those. But it was impressive. So I do miss that aspect of it. When I'm out to eat, I'm very critical, which is these reviews, kind of speak my language with it in the restaurant industry. But I think the bigger part of my experience at a restaurant is when I see, a well-oiled machine. I see, like, I want to be a part of that again. Like, I want to jump in there and go flip some burgers or shake some baskets of fries or serve somebody and make them smile and make them laugh. So. That's my restaurant pedestal.
I like it.
I'd like to get off now.
I think it's special, is making someone smile. I mean, that's a good way to put it. It's like, at the end of the day, it's very satisfying when you finish. It's like, if you got the job well done and everyone's happy. So, can you make a mean souffle? Is that on the?
No, my wife can.
Okay.
No, I can cook very well, but I haven't made dinners in such a long time. Like last night I made dinner for my kids, and it was butter noodles, peas, and leftover turkey. But my wife will make, like a actual meal that's not just like thrown together scraps out of a box. But I used to cook very well, and I have all of the skills and the know-how and the critique, but I just don't practice them anymore. So if I cook, it's not, it's throwing a ham on a smoker.
Sure.
It's not, the culinary aspect of it with my mirepoix and my mise en place and all that stuff. It's just throwing a bunch of stuff in a pan and cooking it and seasoning it the way I like it.
Okay.
So
I'm sure when soup day comes around, you still score pretty high.
I haven't won yet, and
okay.
I even tried adding cheese to my soup, and that didn't help last time.
I heard bacon is the key.
Well, so maybe cheese and bacon. The first time it was a cheesy chicken noodle soup, maybe with bacon in it, and then. Did you win one? Or
I didn't win. I did. I did a sweet soup once. It's like mini waffles with it.
Oh, that was yours. I remember that one.
Yeah.
I don't remember who won last year, what it was, but. Yeah, back to the drawing board for me.
Yeah, it's all right. So, and Jon, you got a good amount of history with yourself and maintenance. You used to work in the shop, working in the bay.
Yep.
Doing oil changes, looking at trucks and all that, right?
I was a technician since I graduated high school in 2016. So
diesel tech.
Yep.
Okay.
I started here right after. I went through school in the ICC diesel program while I was here.
Yeah.
Interned here, worked here a year after that, Then I went to Vermeer in Goodfield for about 6 months. Wasn't really for me there. And then I came back, and I didn't really want to be a technician anymore. But I kind of still wanted to be somewhere, on the maintenance side.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that this, maintenance coordinator job was open, so took it pretty easily.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of celebrating 5 years as a maintenance coordinator, so congratulations.
That's right.
Celebrate
Congratulations.
that.
That's crazy. It seems like I just got back, yesterday. But
Really.
Yeah, it's been 5 years.
A lot's probably changed. I mean, you got married in that time and
Yep.
had a kid.
A lot has changed for sure.
Yeah, that's great. So you did have, you gravitated towards that, right?
Yeah.
Working as a technician. What do you enjoy about that aspect?
Just getting people back up and running. Yeah. It's never fun when, you're expected and you're expecting, right, to go do this load and you have trouble. Either you have a breakdown or, hey, we found a bunch of stuff on your PM. You're going to be here for a lot longer. This load you really wanted to do, we're giving it to someone else now.
Yeah.
Like that's tough. But finally getting that driver back up and running, that's just like that's a win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, it is. Huge win. So, and you have some side projects too that you work on outside of Nussbaum, some vehicles. Sorry, again, sorry about bringing up the whole lawnmower thing. I was kind of egged on, but
I could tell as soon as you phrased it that way, I'm like, somebody told them to say something, and here we're going to have
That's funny because I completely forgot about that until you brought that up.
I'm so sorry. I realize it's probably not a great question.
John and I
You
are
better
doing
leave it
that
in. You better leave it in.
Don't edit that out.
And don't edit that out.
Let the guy do his job.
No, I'll do. I used to do it like more. So at the time, my wife Abby was working second shift as a nurse, so I needed kind of something to do in the evenings. So I had like a lawnmower, small engine repair shop in Goodfield. Now that I have a kid and she's on, not working nearly as much anymore. Kind of do it for friends and family just to keep my skills sharp. And I really do enjoy going out to the shed and working on that. So.
Yeah. Is it mostly riding lawnmowers?
I feel like it's my bread and butter, but anything with a small engine, a generator. I worked on somebody here. I won't say who. I worked on their snowblower.
Okay.
Got up and running for them.
That's fun.
So, yeah.
So, like something that's not working at all and you take it and.
Yeah. Depends on what you define as not working at all, right?
Right.
It's like, I don't know. I get pretty tempted when I see like, stuff on the side of the road that's like, being thrown away. It's like, ooh, I could probably get that fixed.
Yeah.
And running again.
It's a fun little mission.
Yeah.
It's like, can this work? Yeah.
I like to do that too, but more with wood projects. Like I'll see a kitchen cabinet sitting on I could use that door for something.
Yeah.
A tabletop or something. I never pick it up, but I think about it.
You
for the
think
next
about it.
half mile down the road, what I would do.
What
with
if?
it. And that's why I'm still married, because I don't pick them up.
You just have a lot of stuff. That could be our next kitchen table.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. So we talked a little bit about your role at Nussbaum. Before Nussbaum, anything else that you would like to share? I think we covered that a little bit, but...
I've been at Nussbaum for as long as I can remember. Nearly a decade at this point.
Is it? Well, yeah, since your time as a technician, it's been 9 years, give or take.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit over 9 years.
8.5, yeah.
Yeah, okay, wow. So coming up on 1 decade. So.
If you count my time away. Yeah, everyone over in the shop calls me a quitter because of that.
How long were you away for? And
6 months.
And where did you go again?
Vermeer in Goodfield.
Okay, Vermeer. Nice.
Yep.
Cool. So the topic at hand is issues in trucking and some of the friction points of these reviews. So let's point out some of these things that people say. We won't read the reviews word for word, but some of the things that come up are wait time. People talk a lot about having to wait a long time to get something done, something not being done right. Any other things that come up when people talk about pain points in trucking and with the shop? What comes to mind here?
I think a pain point that I've experienced is I didn't know that I had this PM due. I just pulled in the terminal and my DM called and said, hey, you got to get in the shop. And kind of as John was explaining, like they're expecting to get a load and take it out of there, and then they're into the shop and they have no idea where they're there until they talk to us. I think that could be a big pain point for them, just the not knowing that, hey, and we tell them in orientation, we talk to them about it's not their priority to keep track of their truck PMs and stuff, that we do that for them. And we'll let them know. As a company, we'll let them know, not necessarily service advisors or maintenance coordinators, but we'll let them know when they're, every 37,500 miles, when their truck's ready for midpoint, every 75,000 miles for their oil service. And then when they show up and they said, yeah, I didn't know I was supposed to be here, so what are we doing today?
Yeah.
It's not all the time, but a lot of times I can tell that could be kind of the unknown is kind of a pain point for them, because now they're, 4 or 6 hours behind their schedule that they weren't aware of when they started. So
definitely
trying to take that information and then explain to them, what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and still try and keep them positive and, try and hold to our leave out times and stuff so that we can get them out as quick as we can. I think encourages them to maintain positivity and keep going forward.
Setting the right expectations for what is going to happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of it boils down to communication and expectation.
Yeah. And expectations can change, and that's, I guess I just repeated ourselves, but I was thinking expectations and then communicating again. So, but what I mean by that is, hey, here's your expectations, 4:00, and then we get into the truck and we need 3 more hours. Now it's 7:00. Communicating that to all parties involved is important, not just sending an email to the driver manager saying, hey, we need till 7:00, and then not updating the driver about that concept. And there's some gray area there. I think we've kind of worked it out now. So I think we're able to fix that, or find the solution there, I guess. At a loss of words, sorry. No, trying to say, basically we just call the driver manager, call the driver, let them both know, hey, obviously it's easier to tell the driver manager instead of the driver, because the driver's expecting 4:00, and their truck is their life. So if it's in the shop for 3 extra hours, that's 3 extra hours away that they've got a plan to be sitting upstairs, or doing laundry or something like that, and twiddling their thumbs at most. But service and keeping them informed, I think, is the most encouraging thing we can do to set those expectations.
I think you broke it down really well. Those two things, communication, expectation, are huge. Yeah. If you're getting the expectation on what is going to happen and then getting communicated, here's where we're at, here's what's going on, then you feel a lot better than just waiting what's going to happen, how much longer is this going to be, or So I appreciate you bringing that up. So fill me in more on what you do in your role. So maintenance coordinator, service advisor. And what are those roles, and what do you do in that job?
John, you want to go first?
Yeah, so kind of the direction we're moving with our maintenance coordinators. We used to be called roadside coordinators. We still might be for now, but we're going in more like a fleet maintenance management direction, where you have an assigned maintenance coordinator. Kind of think of them like your driver manager, but for your equipment. So they track all your preventative maintenance. They keep a log of all the issues that are going on the truck. They send off service requests to driver managers to get the truck routed back to the shop. If they have, if a driver has a breakdown on the road, the maintenance coordinator is responsible to seeing that breakdown, from the start to the end, right? So they're, let's say you need a tow to a dealer, right? They get the tow set up. They call the dealer, say, hey, this driver is going to be towed here. The truck needs this, this, and this. It should be here at about this time. Even stuff as routine as, hey, I'm going to a Love's for an oil service. We put in a service request. We let the Loves know that they're coming, that sort of thing. So we're kind of doing all the back end stuff of coordinating breakdowns and getting the truck back to the shop, that sort of thing.
So kind of the full service, watching over those drivers, those specific drivers. So do you know a lot of? I've heard that you have a certain skill for knowing rest stops on the way whenever you're traveling. You have the ability, since you're working a lot with breakdowns on the road and you recognize these places. So if you're traveling somewhere, do you have the ability to know, okay, I have
totally.
There's
like
a rest stop coming up here in 5 miles.
As you start to get to know what shops are in what cities. It's like, for instance, I know if we're going to be Council Bluffs, Iowa, I know there's a Speedco. I know that there's a Love's in Shelby, not too far from Council Bluffs. I know there's also a Speedco in, Omaha, Nebraska, right nearby. So it's like my mind works in that now. Like you get to know the players and where, you're in Atlanta. Okay, I know there's only one Speedco in Atlanta. There's a TA, but they're usually all backed up all the time. I know the nearest other shop is here, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to know the players, and if a driver's on a certain dedicated lane, I'm like, okay, I know I'm probably either going to be sending him to this dealer, this shop I know. We have preferred vendors on each dedicated lane, or we try to, that we work with closely. So it's like, okay, I know I'm going to be using this guy. He's my guy for this area. So
that's a really cool skill to have. I feel like you have this database of, all these stops and where it's good to use.
It's kind of impossible not to. It's kind of comes with the job, right?
Right. Yeah.
The drivers are really good at that. Tremendous. And they don't even call it as a Speedco or Loves, or they just call it the number. I was talking to a driver earlier today. He's like, oh yeah, I'm at this 491, I think, and it's Loves. He's talking about the store number of that Loves. I'm like,
what?
I don't even know where that is.
Yeah.
Or they'll tell you their whole route in turn by turn, and they're in Wyoming. I'm like, I don't know any of those streets. I don't know any of those roads, but I'll take your word for it that you turn left at 43 and then you head 6 miles and you're there, But that's their life, They
so cool.
They know that. So that's cool that you've kind of picked that up. I know there's a Loves down the road. That's about it. I know the Loves in Springfield and the Loves in Danville. That's about it. Leroy. There you go. I got 4 Loves under my belt. So.
Yeah, for the drivers listening out there, if you have a shop that you you really like, hey, I always like stopping at this Loves, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but depending on what's wrong with your truck, us as maintenance coordinators are willing to work with the driver on where they want to go. Some drivers prefer TA, some drivers prefer Boss Shop, some drivers prefer Loves. It's just kind of what you're familiar with. Sometimes you're going to be limited on what options you have based on your area and what the breakdown is.
Yeah.
But collaborate with us, right? We want to work with the drivers.
Yeah.
Not against them, right?
Yeah. It's one team.
Yeah.
So service advisor, give us the breakdown there.
The positions changed quite a bit because we used to kind of be there for phone calls and talking through some of their stuff, the drivers through their day-to-day stuff with maintenance coordinating and stuff like that. But really it's all handled by the maintenance coordinators, the DMs, and we're kind of in the background setting appointments through the software, through the computer, emailing back and forth, and we're more of a communication aspect. But then our biggest the biggest thing we do is take care of the driver when they get to the shop. So they'll come in, they'll check in with myself or Jason, Addison, Michael if he's available, and we take care of them from there. We try and set the tone with them when they show up to the desk as quickly as possible by greeting with a smile, saying hello, how we doing, what are we in for. I strive hard to really learn truck drivers' truck numbers and their names. And sometimes I can remember one and not the other. I have a handful of them that your truck, this one. And they're like, yeah, what's my name? Well, I don't know your name. I know your truck number, but I'm working on your name.
Yeah.
And then some, more of the drivers that domicile here, you see them more often, right? So you can remember their names.
Yeah.
And then the truck number is a dead zone in your brain. It's like, I have no idea what your truck number is. I see in here all the time. I know you by Hank instead of, your truck number. So, but, I think that's important to know too. They don't want to be a number. They want to be a person.
Yeah.
They want to be a driver that works for a company that knows who they are.
Yeah.
And that's something that we strive to do. So
yeah, make it personal. It's about service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it is. I'd say we work on that quite a bit. Maybe we can make some flashcards to make it easier. But
yeah,
there's so many new drivers that come in day to day to day. Or I should say week to week to week, and keeping track of some of the newer ones, we'll get there. But
there's a lot. I mean, each week. I mean, if we have 6 new drivers,
anywhere from 2 to 10 drivers. I was in a class of, I think, 9, and there's 1, 2, 3 of us left. I think, and then me, so 4 of us left. Yeah. So, I like our little group there. They're a lot of fun. But outside of that, so we'll get them checked in. The one thing we try and focus on is why are they here? So we'll run through their list of complaints on the truck, whether it's an oil PM or a bent mud flap, and then we make sure we ask them if there's anything else that needs to happen to the truck. Hey, do you notice any clinks or clunks, or do you have any chips in your windshield that you forgot, or your brakes working fine?
Yeah.
Try and get as much out of them as we can, so that we don't have to bring them back for something, 2 weeks later or something.
Yeah.
And checking their PM stuff. So if they are just here for a bent mud flap and they do have a PM due in 3,000 miles, we can work with DMs, we can work with the driver and say, hey, let's just get this all taken care of now. And then you don't have to come back and see us in 3,000 miles or a week or whatever. And just boom, boom, boom. So we do try and limit the time that they're here. And there's metrics for that stuff that kind of go over my head. But there's definitely a sense of satisfaction knowing we can fix the problem, send them down the road, and not have to worry about it anymore. So it's all part of that check-in process of getting them in and trying to catalog everything that they're experiencing with the truck and try and get the techs the best story we can, so that way they can not have to come back in a week or 2 to get it repaired. Or replaced.
So. And those things you're talking about are why people are really happy with being here at Nussbaum. People Element last year, our highest rated thing was that our equipment is well maintained. Out of all the things, that was our highest one, was people love the equipment and love the trucks. And every week people in orientation say they came here because they see our trucks on the road, they see how well maintained they are, and they want to drive those trucks.
I remember those conversations in my orientation. Drivers would mention that. A big thing that we've done recently is the inspection lane, and that's to help maintain that those assets, the trailer and the tractor. It's a bit confusing getting people in here and helping them understand, because we maybe see a driver every 4 to 5 months and they haven't been here, or we just recently moved it, so they're not sure how to use the inspection lane. But we've caught so many quick DOT fixes and quick maintenance issues with the truck that we wouldn't have found if that inspection lane wasn't in place, and then they're on the road breaking down over the road. Instead of at a local shop or in a their terminal, so I think it's been very helpful. And I know a lot of drivers don't necessarily enjoy going through there because it could mean that they're downed. But I'd rather them be, and I think they would too, be down here than versus over the road.
Yeah. And we have some good amenities in the lounge, and I was up there last week, and drivers just watching a movie together, having a good time. So, I mean, but obviously you want to be on the road, you want to be moving. That's why we're doing maintenance. But so the inspection lane, does everyone stop in? Like it's required?
So if the inspection lane's open, they're required to stop if they're coming off the road. So if they wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and the inspection lane light's on, they just get their trailer and they leave. If they wake up at the Loves up the road at 6 o'clock in the morning and have to come to the terminal and the inspection lane's open, then they go through the inspection lane. It's only if you're coming through the shop. It's not as you're exiting. So that's a big misconception too. Just because, they stayed the night in here. We didn't work on the truck, but now the light's on. We found a wheel seal that was blown, which good thing we found it, but that just set them back 2, 3, 4 hours for the wheel seal. So it's kind of a bad taste in the mouth. It's like, well, I was here all night last night. Why didn't we work on this? Well, we didn't know about it. So the other part of that is when they come through the gate, they go through that, the light's on. They go through the inspection lane. And now it's on the west side of the shop. So there's the stoplight there. It's still, it's the interstate side, as I call it. But it's just a green and red light. If that green light's on, then you kind of stage yourself on the north bays of the furthest north bays of the shop, which are bay 5 and 6. And then above those are LED lights that are open and closed. So green is open, red is closed. And then they just stage themselves in front of that, and our techs will open up the doors and wheel you in, usually one at a time for now, while it's still kind of in its infancy stages, I guess. And then, get you inspected. And then if it comes down to needing maintenance, they found a DOT issue, then the techs will actually scan in the paperwork. It comes to our email, and then we'll start the communication with the DMs and the planners and say, hey, we'll get the maintenance coordinators involved and say, this truck was in inspection lane. It's got a blown wheel seal. We need him. He can't leave without getting this fixed. It's a DOT issue. We need him for 4 hours. And then they go the driver goes and drops their trailer, parks on the bobtail line, and then we get it repaired. If it's a quickie, like a wiper blade or a mud flap or something like that, they'll do that in the inspection lane. A padlock or something on a trailer. If it's something that's going to require more than a few minutes out, of just extra time in the inspection lane, then they'll have you disconnect and pull it in. But if we can fix it then and there, we'll try. So I guess the inspection lane first started on the east side of the shop. Now it's on the west side, so it can be confusing. But for now, that's how it is, and
that's cool. Thanks for mentioning it.
It's really working well.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you pointed that out because could be some misconceptions there. It's coming in, not leaving, and then when it's green, you can get staged bay 5 and 6. So
that's right. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yep. I did not know that. So glad you mentioned it. Some of these other things that people bring up in these reviews, they talk about the integrity of the technician, and someone reported that they had something stolen, and there was 8 people that liked that review. So other people identified with having something stolen or found that helpful. And can you vouch for the technicians that
2.5 years I've been here, and I've never heard one theft issue, which is great. I mean, you'd think that, that says a lot about our techs, the integrity of them. They're not there to rifle through your stuff and to find something, whether it's, a quarter or, an iPad. We're simply not there to take the driver's stuffs. And I think, and my accreditation for that is in 2.5 years, I've never heard of anybody. Where's this at? How come I'm missing that? there's been misplaced stuff
Yeah.
that we found, or that the driver's like, you know what, I left that at home. You know.
Yep. And
that's easy.
And this comment very may have well been that scenario where
Absolutely,
it was
yeah.
misplaced.
Yeah, I was gonna say, techs are always like, if they need to get something in the cab.
Yeah.
And for example, I'm thinking Park Smart, like the bunk air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
There's always stuff in the way that needs to be moved. Like I would, even on the road. I mean, I can't vouch for other shops on the road, right?
Yeah.
But even on the road, like very rarely are things actually gonna get stolen. A lot of times it's moved, and it's like when someone moves something in your house, right? It's like
It's very frustrating.
right? Exactly. But I mean, you gotta get to stuff to get worked on too,
Yeah.
right? So like if you know you're gonna have something worked on, which sometimes you don't always know what's gonna be worked on, right?
Yeah.
Try and keep your area clear if you know where it's gonna need to get worked on, right? I mean, I can personally vouch, like when I was a tech here, we were doing a refrigerator, and I won't say who the tech was. I don't think you'd want me to share this, but we took the refrigerator out, and there was a bunch of cash that had fallen back behind the refrigerator, and the tech looked at the cash, took it, put it in the cup holder. Like, if a driver probably would have never known because it was behind the fridge, there's no way he's getting to it.
Yeah.
But I watched the tech put the cash in the cup holder for the driver. So like I mean here, it's pretty well unheard of.
Yeah. Right. And I that's why it's kind of, we take it for granted that it's not a second thought. Do unto others as you would do to yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Like how would you want to be treated? How would you want your things to be treated? So that's a good story. Thanks for bringing that up.
The integrity part of I don't know if I need to clarify it for conversation for myself, but like skills. Is the problem drivers are facing out on the road or in our shop, integrity of their skill set, and that's open for question, because I'm not sure what the argument, like, are they worried about their stuff getting stolen, or are they worried about them forgetting to put a lug nut.
Right.
I've had a hard time trying to say that word today. A lug nut on a truck and securely tighten it. So I don't know if that comment if that means their skills, or their is just some untrained person out there working on my truck, or is it the integrity of honesty, and is my personal belongings going to be safe while we allow this shop or our shop to work on your stuff?
Yeah, and we've had that comment of people having to come back in multiple times, like this was not getting fixed what they wanted. Someone said they had to have multiple trucks over the course of a month and a half. Like, they had over.
I saw that. That was an interesting comment. 6 weeks and 5 trucks.
Yeah.
I know that wasn't here, but I don't know why they give out a truck, and why they want to try and fix the truck instead of just keep giving them a new one. Lemon after lemon after lemon.
And this is very situational. We don't know what
one-sided, like you said. Yeah. So.
A lot of these reviews, I was reading through this when Dayton, you originally sent this out, like so much of these are based on perceptions, where like communication, I think, on both ends is so important. There's an attitude, like when I was growing up, it kind of struck me. I've been thinking about this a lot, but when I was trying to figure something out on a piece of equipment, the operator told me, like, well, you should be able to figure it out. You're the tech. And I think that's just a complete wrong attitude to have. The more information you give to the technician, even if it's, it may seem like minute, right? That could be the key in deciding whether or not your piece of equipment comes back to the shop.
Yeah.
The more detail you provide on, a diagnostic issue, the better your chances are of that issue getting fixed. Because we, as technicians, maintenance personnel, we thrive on detail, and we are killed by ambiguity and vagueness.
Yeah.
Like one thing I always we've been working on this in the shop is write-ups. Write-ups are huge, because for the technician, let's just say a complaint I always get is, hey, my bunk heater's not working.
Right. Especially this time of year.
Oh, yeah, totally. So if I were to write on your work order, if you're the driver, if I were to write bunk heater not working, that could mean so many different things, right? So, okay, let's say this comes to the shop, gets checked in, okay, bunk heater not working. The tech goes into the bunk, starts the bunk heater, starts right up. And the tech's like, well, obviously this driver has no idea what he's talking about because the bunk heater just started right up and it's, heating. Well, the driver may have meant, hey, my bunk heater only works for 3 hours, then shuts off. It's not working.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just mean, hey, it's not starting, right? So that leads you down a completely different troubleshooting tree.
Yeah.
And that's on the service personnel, me, Adam, to confirm that. Like when we're going over the driver's work order and we see a bunk heater's not working, we need to ask, what does that mean? Because we, as service personnel, are the go-between between the driver and the technician. So we better make sure that we've crossed our T's and dotted our I's, and we've set the tech up for success. Because a lot of these problems I see in here are probably because the tech was not set up for success. That tech that said, hey, this bunk heater's working fine, well, the driver's going to get it back and say, they didn't do anything with it. And then it's going to be a comeback, right?
Yeah.
So we could have gone over, all right, what's really going on here, right? And now if I have, the complaint down that this bunk heater works for 3 hours and shuts off, now the tech knows, oh, I know where to start looking. I know where to start troubleshooting.
Yeah.
And the percent chance of success, you've just increased exponentially.
Yeah.
So having a detailed write-up is huge. And then on the technician side, technician has a very, very important job too when they write their story.
Yeah.
If they say fixed bunk heater and something's wrong with it and it comes back, well, the next technician that looks at it's going to be like, all right, well, what did the tech do? So it's like a symbiotic relationship. The driver needs to make sure they're, being descriptive. We, as service personnel, need to provide a good description for the tech of what's going on. And then the tech needs to provide a good story of what he did to repair. A complaint, cause, correction, right?
Yeah.
Complaint, what's wrong with it? Cause, what is causing the issue? And are you repairing a symptom? Because if you're repairing a symptom, it's going to come back, right? So you're going to need to get to the cause of what's going on. And then the correction, what was done to rectify the problem.
I love that. Who likes talking to a wall? Like talking to something that's not going to talk back. If this conversation was just me, it would be really boring. But communication is a two-way street. And you brought that up, that it needs description on both sides. And how can we, both ways, have as much communication as we can? So I love that.
Yeah, I think of in James where it says, quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. And really listening is hard. It really is. It's a skill that, it's a discipline, right? You have to choose to listen.
Yeah.
Because you might think you know what the driver means. You might think you know what they mean when you're writing the complaint down, but you got to really be listening.
Yeah.
And in our jobs, it's so easy to get distracted by emails, notifications, Teams messages. Like it really takes a lot to listen.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like I learned something here today just with that, teaching me how to listen, because it's trying to comprehend something. It's not, you could hear something, but the words could just bounce right off. But if you're letting it reflect and you're trying to understand, doing your best effort to comprehend, then.
And that's one of the most important things, I think. I bet a lot of these people that wrote these reviews, they didn't feel heard. Because that's really the main thing, is people want to be respected and they want to be heard. And they want to be understood.
Yeah. Respected, heard, and understood.
That's right.
Mic drop.
It's good.
It's tethered to the. If I just
throw it on the ground.
Throw it. We're doing great.
I'm an employee owner. I don't want to pay for that.
Yeah, we don't want to wreck our equipment. We've covered a lot of topics, and I feel like we could keep chugging down this road. But also, we've been going for near an hour, so we probably should start landing this plane. John, what's your story that you have to share? Story time with John.
So this can totally speak to, expectations, right? Things aren't always going to go right in the shop. If you notice, if you ever ask a service person, hey, how long is this going to take? They're always going to kind of be like, they're not going to give you a straight answer because stuff like this happens. Mm-hmm. So back when I was a tech, I was put on a job. I had to do a fan clutch. So a pretty straightforward job. You got to take the fan off, take the clutch off. Mm-hmm. It's in between the radiator and the engine. So I asked the Freightliner tech at that time. I had never done one before. Hey, what do I need to use? Oh, I usually use my electric ratchet, right, in order to get the bolts off. So stick my deep well socket on there on my electric ratchet and start, taking one of the nuts off. And I didn't realize it, but the nut drove the electric ratchet right into the radiator and punched a hole in it. So I had to go tell JP. I'm like, hey, JP, I just put a hole in this truck. And mind you, this is Friday night. Yeah. Busy. Driver's trying to get home.
Oh, no.
So it's like, JP, I just put a hole in this radiator. He's like, no, you didn't. He thought I was kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. So,
oh, no.
Yeah, stuff like that happens, dumb stuff like that. Yeah. And it's just you can't control, and I it was my first one, so I didn't know. Yeah. And after that, I didn't use a deep well socket on those anymore.
Yeah.
So, but I mean that totally derailed that night at work, right? Right. Because this driver's trying to get home, so we had to get 2 other techs to get on this one, so that that's 2 techs that their time is now in this unit here. Yep. Mm-hmm. So one mistake you make, I mean that could be. It was a dumb mistake, right? Right. And, a short well socket's about 1 inch. A deep well socket's, anywhere from 3 to 4 inches. Mm-hmm. So at any time, you're 3 to 4 inches from totally ruining someone's night, It's like I did that night. So it happens.
Hey, you learned. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's some of those the moments we learn the most are those mistakes. So I know I have my own mistakes. So, thanks for sharing that. And we don't know, what the shop, what could be happening in the shop. So it's good to keep an open mind, give each other grace.
Stuff like that happens all over the road, at shops. I mean, I know all of our drivers make mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. That's just part of being human, right? We make mistakes. But giving each other grace goes, so long. I'll never forget that driver's like, it's okay. He was going home, right? Yeah. He's like, it's okay. It happens. Yeah. And that was just oh man, giving people grace. You will show people more about your character when you give grace to people like that.
Yeah, in the most difficult situations. I like that. So Adam, you mentioned about when you're working in the restaurant, you had to serve 120 basketball players.
Yeah, a couple buses. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're probably hungry, want a lot of food, and you had to get together, get the troops, and just start working hard. And the dream team really came out. It sounds like you guys really served everyone in that moment, which is really cool. And I think with the shop, there is a well-run team. We want to be a well-run team as a whole company. And I think you've described some of those qualities on what it takes to be a well-run team, just like that time you served 120 basketball players.
Push come to shove, we can, Dalton and the other leads, they can pull together some techs and get them on a truck that needs to leave by this time because they've got that hot load. Doesn't mean they can always do that, but if when it comes down to it, they can corral the troops and get them set on something. Which setbacks are setbacks, so you never know. You could have somebody break a radiator on accident, and even though you've got your A team on it or your best foot forward, accidents can still happen, setbacks. So totally, the grace is that's the biggest thing that we can ask for, because it makes our jobs easier, having to reach out to that driver and say, there's a mistake with your truck. You're going to be here an extra 4 hours, and it's Christmas Eve, and you're trying to leave. Yeah, so. I can't speak for that because I'm not in the shop, working on the trucks, but I can speak for that experience of trying to talk to a driver and let them know, hey, and sometimes it's preventative maintenance stuff, and you can have the conversation with the driver. Hey, you want us to keep you an extra 4 hours because we got to knock this out, or you can come back in, a couple weeks and we can do it. No big deal.
Yeah.
And then let them make that decision and
give options.
And sometimes, I'd rather come back. I gotta get going, or I want to come back here for 6 months. So let's get it done.
Yeah.
So. It's nice when the job's easier on both ends, when there's mistakes and there's grace, for us, for the drivers, for the techs. We're all a company together. We're all employees of the same.
Yeah.
And that's the difference of these comments or these reviews with the loves. Like they're not, they're a customer at that point. But we treat our drivers like customers because of that customer service part of it. And I think that's the number one goal, is to make them just feel heard, feel like they've got a voice, make them feel like a person, not a number. I really think that that goes a long ways.
Yeah, it does. The dream team, we're all working in the same kitchen together. I love how you brought that story in, and talking about communication, expectation, giving each other grace, and making sure we have everything we need to do our jobs right. So I appreciate that. Imagine if you're a driver for a moment and you're looking at a trucking company and you want to know how good their shop is. What are some red flags that would go up in your head that would be like, okay, I should be warned about what's going on here? If you put on your driver hat for a minute, anything come to mind? What would the opposite of that well-run kitchen look like?
Yeah, look at the equipment.
Yeah. First thing. Yeah.
What are we willing to let go out on the road? And I'd say Nussbaum has a really, really good, program going on that.
I don't fully understand CSA scores, but I know that means we're doing well out there on the road, stopped by DOT officers, and very minimal violations or very minimal, out of service violations. So I would, if I was a driver, I would look at those, and if CSA scores are through the roof for a company, I'd probably look for a different company. Someone that takes safety and respect to the driver into consideration when making those repairs, and not just letting a tire that's bald or vibrating, just we'll get it next time you're in, because lack of time or lack of this. Safety should come first. So if they're not willing to do that, I would probably look at a different company. And then table talk, right? I mean, I could go get a cup of coffee and I could see somebody working for XYZ company and hear them talking to another driver and they're just bashing their company. That's probably a company that I don't want to work for. I don't want to be surrounded by those people that, we're going to speak bad about their company, and I don't want to be surrounded, or I don't want to work for a company that has those things being said about it, true or not true. There's a character that I think all of our drivers are characteristic that all of our drivers have, and it's a very positive one towards our towards Nussbaum on a whole. Purpose driven. They're all here for the same goal, and that's just make ends meet and have a good time doing it.
Right. Have a good experience.
They don't want the headache of a negatively run shop, or maybe the accounting, or whatever it is, just to get away from maintenance and service. But it could be anything that they're experiencing negatively, that they're bad mouthing the company that they work for to a bystander. So I'd probably stay away from that. And then I think lastly, the number one thing that I would, like, the biggest red flag I would see is, what's the equipment look like? if it's beatered up and torn down, or that DOT bumper is just bent, 9 ways, and it's like I don't think I would feel comfortable being a driver into that company. So,
it's kind of like looking at a house, right?
Right.
Like if a house is the fruit of the labor of a builder, carpenter, and there's jagged edges everywhere, stuff's not square. You're gonna be like, all right, is this house really worth that much? And like, if you think of like the techs and the fruits of the labor are the trucks, I mean, I think it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I think our fleet is one of the best well maintained.
Yeah.
Like the fruits of the labor of our techs is so evident. Like, you see a Nussbaum truck going down the road, it's like, wow, that's sharp, right?
Sharp,
Yeah, it is. It leaves an impression, definitely. Yeah.
Clean inspections are a big part of that. I mean, drivers don't like it, but they can hang their hat on that. Hey, I've got a clean truck, and it's not just because our techs don't want to work in a dirty environment. But it's just that perception that you have when you have somebody come up to your truck over the road and they look inside your truck and say, "Wow, that's a clean truck."
Yeah.
So our customers too, when they're delivering the customers, interacting with the driver, whether it be at a security guard gate or whatever, they're looking inside our trucks, and it's just another nod to tipping the hat that we've got clean trucks, not just outside, not just well maintained trucks, but the insides are held to a standard that others may or may not be held to in different companies.
And it's hard. That's where they live. That's where you live.
One
So
bedroom apartment.
Right.
Countless drivers tell me that.
Do I keep my house as clean as
No, yeah. My room messy. Yeah. So that stuff it's hard to do, but yeah. No, I appreciate that. Last question, and then we have some hot takes to end the episode. What does it mean to be purpose-driven, and how can we be purpose-driven in trucking? So this more personal question, like what does it mean to you to be purpose-driven?
To me, I fall heavily on my customer service. 20 years of it, and in the making, really, I didn't stop customer service when I got out of the restaurant. It was just a different form of it, but it's all the same. So 25, 30 plus years of customer service. It's really just, I want to be there for the person coming into that window and take care of their needs, whether it's just checking them in simply and making them smile and have a better day than they're having when they got there, or getting involved with a quick repair, pulling a nail out. I spoke of that earlier, pulling a nail out of a tire. That helps everybody out. If I'm able to or willing to jump up, grab my top pliers, go out there, which I'm batting 1,000 with them. I have not met one bolt that I wasn't able to get out with my pliers.
Okay.
So I do hang my head on that pretty well.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. There was one yesterday I couldn't get out.
Oh no.
But no, on a serious note, that saves the driver time, that saves the tech's time, that gets that driver back on point or on track and not have to come, even if it is a 2-hour trip to the shop. We pulled the nail, we squirted down bubbles, it didn't leak, send them. So those are the things that I try and do every day to try and help the driver just keep their wheels moving.
Sure.
That's it. So, and then, service with a smile, all that stuff that I've kind of ingrained in my body. But nobody wants a grumpy Gus when they pull up to the window. Maybe they're having a bad day, and if I'm having a bad day, what's that gonna? That's not gonna help anybody out. So if I'm providing a positive interaction, maybe that made that driver's day just that much better, and they can check their truck in the shop knowing that it's maybe it's uphill from here. So
we're always making someone feel a certain way, like when we interact with someone, you're either uplifting someone or it rarely is it neutral, but you make someone feel a certain way when you experience conversation with them.
Reading the room too, and hey, that driver looks like he's pretty upset, and not to say, like, just approach them differently than you might approach, somebody that you see in here all the time, approach them differently, because you can tell there's just, they're upset, or they're down, or maybe they're just tired, but approach them differently, not just give them the full, hey, how you doing? You just kind of read each situation and handle it from there. But for the most part, it is that, hey, how you doing, type atmosphere that I try and create in the window, and just a positive impact on that. But I think you can leave a positive impact without getting in their face excited to see them. So
that's makes sense.
Yeah.
Jon, purpose driven.
Our job, and I think really every job, takes chaos and creates order out of it. So being purpose driven is, all right, so we have a chaotic situation here, truck breaks down, what have you. All right, how are we going to create order out of that? So let's not live in the chaos. Let's go towards an ordered solution.
Working towards order. Yeah. So not working with Adam, is that no? If Adam's chaos, then
I was just thinking, I'm just kidding. Nice compliment for him too.
I wouldn't say no one person is chaotic. We all can be chaotic, right?
Right.
But working towards a ordered solution and offering grace along the way.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. You guys ready for some hot takes?
Now when you say it like that.
Hot takes.
That's the best way. I've been dying. I've been gearing up my questions.
Hot takes.
What are the questions? Something about hot chocolate.
So first hot take I got, so you either agree or disagree with the statement. Just a fun way to close the episode. A restored retro car is better than any 2025 vehicle.
Yep.
You agree with that?
So.
Really?
Yeah, I'd have to. I mean,
too many sensors that can go wrong, and
well, just appearance alone. I haven't seen one beautiful car in 30 years. Ever since they stopped making the Fox body Mustangs.
So, 2025 Mustang versus retro. I don't know,
64 and a half?
Yeah.
64 and a half all day long. I don't care if I have to put gas in it all the way down the road because it's not working.
Yeah. That's good. Next hot take. I like snow. Do you agree or disagree?
That's a more nuanced question, I'd say. Because I love waking up on, remember last year, Sunday morning, it snowed a couple inches, and I got to wake up my daughter, and we got to look at the snow for the first time.
Wow. Yeah.
But then I also had to scoop my driveway, too. So.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but it takes work.
Yeah. So.
I really like the snow. I'm oddball, and actually I can remember asking Brent Nussbaum that question too. He's like, well, in an industry like this, I really don't like the snow, which totally makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of safety concerns. But on a personal level, I enjoy the shoveling snow.
Yeah.
We just recently moved, and we've got this huge driveway, and I'm not ready to tackle that yet. But before we moved, we had just a one-stall garage, so there wasn't much of a driveway, which allowed me to scoop mine in a few minutes, and then I would go door to door and scoop my neighbors because they're elderly, they weren't able to get to it. So that goes back to that satisfaction of hey, I just helped that person out. It really helps them out. That's a good feeling. And then fast forward to a few years later. My neighbor and I became good friends, and we got 2 blizzards back-to-back weekends.
Oh, wow.
And him and I went and got the his snowblower out, and I snowblowed the whole block and sidewalks, and really, it's a feel good, So I enjoy that part of it. No, it's not fun having to do it every day, but it was in that regard where I can help a neighbor out that they're stuck in their house because they're not able to do it themselves.
Yeah.
So, and then nobody likes driving in the snow. It's terrible. I'm gripping the steering wheel. I'm 40 and I'm terrified to drive down the road. But I like it. I like the snow.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do like it. Special time of year, but then for the driving aspect, it's hard. This hot take, this last one is so hot that if you agree with it, you may be a monster. Hot chocolate is bad.
I was actually just talking about this with Abby, and I'm not really that big of a hot drink fan. It's been so long since I've tried hot chocolate, so I can't actually say.
Okay.
I should probably try it sometime.
So you're not making a stance on this?
It is kind of lame to not make a stance on it. Right now, yes, hot chocolate is bad.
Okay, whoa, that is the hottest.
I'll be
take.
I'll be the bad guy. It's
okay, that's right.
all right.
Hey, it's not bad. All right.
It's not my favorite.
Yeah.
I would rather have coffee or a flavored coffee beverage. But oddly enough, the two together is great. A mocha, I think they call it, coffee and chocolate.
Yeah.
Or espresso and chocolate. I want the benefit out of the calories that I'm consuming. And the hot drink, there's nothing better than having like that perfect hot temperature coffee when it's cold like this. Mm-hmm. But then I will drink hot coffee on a 110-degree day too. There's something about hot drinks that, and they make the morning, I guess, go by. I don't know. I mean, I love an iced coffee too, but I don't like spending the time making it. So I would say I would prefer hot chocolate's okay if it's made correctly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, chocolate with coffee in it is better.
Part of the morning ritual, having that hot beverage.
Yeah.
Are you a coffee drinker, John?
Nope.
No? Just wake up on the sheer water and...
I guess.
Yeah.
Never drink. I mean, just never really liked coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's the bald head. The cold air hits that head.
Solar panel.
It wakes you up.
I'm solar powered.
That's right. I'm getting there. I am there, I should say. I just choose not to cut my hair.
Well, thank you guys again for being here. Thanks, Adam, for being on this last second. This was the day you found out.
It was fun.
Made for a fun episode.
I don't think I was that nervous. Got a little bit on the spot there with the old lawnmower.
Yeah, I think we dodged a bullet.
If we want to circle back to that, I'd love to do that. But
yeah.
Who gave you the tip?
Justin.
Yeah. As soon as you said it, I'm like, that doesn't sound like something John would say.
I honestly forgot about it until you brought it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you said zero-turn lawnmower, I knew exactly where it was going without you even finishing the conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And you even said fixing them and selling them.
Yeah.
I read it like a book.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows we're brother-in-laws.
Shout out to him. Thank you, guys. I feel like I learned a lot from this, just on the shop perspective and just communication, being a good listener. So I really appreciate your thoughts and being here today. So thank you. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to Daniel for running audio and visuals. And until next
Just
time,
pumping the air.
stay purpose-driven and own it every moment.
And be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell.
I like it.
Hi everyone, this is CJ from Recruiting at Nussbaum, and I'd love to answer any questions you have about driving with us. Give us a call at 309-268-1199 or visit nussbaumjobs.com. Talk to you soon. You've been listening to Terminal Exchange, the official podcast of Nussbaum Transportation. If you're enjoying our content, please leave us a review. Your reviews help us spread the word about these important topics and invite more people into the conversation. You can rate and review us on your podcast app or visit us online at terminalexchange.org. New episodes arrive every other Tuesday, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow Nussbaum on your favorite social media platforms and be the first to know when new episodes are released. Thanks for listening. Until next time, own every moment and stay purpose-driven.